all that, here's the one key fact we want everybody to remember. The White House and the Trump campaign provided unprecedented levels of cooperation with the special counsel's investigation. They produced over 1.4 million pages of documents to the special counsel. They allowed 20 White House officials to testify, including 8 people from the White House counsel's office. And in spite of all that, the Attorney General and former Deputy AG Rosenstein found the evidence developed by the special counsel was, quote, not sufficient to establish that the president committed an obstruction of justice offense, unquote. That should have ended the inquiry, but it hasn't.
That clip you just watched was like a political crime show where the plot twist hits halfway through, and suddenly the expert witness realizes they forgot the script. Democrats walked in confident, armed with CNN soundbites and dramatic eyebrow raises, ready to sell another Trump conspiracy, and 5 minutes later they were backpedaling like someone just hit rewind on their own words. 1 minute it's sealed indictments are coming. The next minute it's, well, I'd have to check the transcript. That's not oversight, that's getting caught with your own narrative in a bear trap. Meanwhile, the Republican senator didn't raise his voice, didn't pound the table, just calmly let the facts do the damage while the whole story unraveled in real time. This wasn't a hearing, it was a slow-motion collapse of a media myth, and it was beautiful to watch. So if you enjoy seeing political fairy tales meet reality, smash the like button, hit subscribe, and don't move. Let's watch the full clip before I give you the full breakdown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Chairman, sincerely, I want to thank you for returning, so help me God, the phrase to the oath today of the witnesses. As we've discussed, that's an important tradition the American people want us to maintain. Let me ask a few questions. Mr. Dean, first a housekeeping matter. When were you first contacted about testifying at this hearing?
I'm sorry, about this hearing?
Yes, sir.
Probably a couple of weeks ago. I was initially told it was planned for the 20th, and then later it had been moved to the 10th.
We're just curious. We only got exactly 7 days' notice, and we suspected this had been in the works for a while. On November 7, 2018, when Attorney General Sessions resigned, you went on CNN and you said, quote, "This seems to be planned like a murder. It's almost impossible not to interpret this any other way than a fact to undercut Mueller," unquote. Of course, now we know that didn't happen. The special counsel was allowed to finish his investigation, and the Attorney General or Deputy Attorney General never declined any requests made by the special counsel. So based on that statement, would you now admit that maybe you overstated the effect of the AG's resignation?
Well, what I was looking at was the fact that Mr. Whitaker was stepping in as an acting Attorney General, which was highly unusual, and that's why I made the comment I did. I think that when Mr. Whitaker got in there, he found the institution is much different than that of a U.S. Attorney's view of it, that there's a lot of spine inside the main Justice Department, and it was not something he could possibly carry out any assignments that he might have thought he could handle. So no, I wouldn't change my comment.
Okay. You also said in that same interview you believe Special Counsel Mueller had filed sealed indictments against the president's children and others that you said, quote, were high in the pecking order at the White House. But there weren't any such indictments.
Did I say they had been filed, or that was a potential, I believe is what I said?
I think you said they had been filed, but
okay.
I'll give you that. That didn't happen, though, did it? Would
No,
you admit you were wrong about that?
Well, my recollection being it was there was the potential of it. I'd have to look at the transcript of the broadcast you're talking about.
Mr. Malcolm, really appreciate you being here today. Your legal experience and your expertise on the matter before the committee have been very valuable to us. A couple questions for you. Many of the acts of alleged obstruction involve the president exercising his Article II authority that you've articulated very well today. Can you just explain the difficulty quickly in finding corrupt intent to obstruct justice when a president is carrying out those Article II powers?
Well, you have to be able to determine that it was done for an illegitimate purpose, that it was done to be purely self-serving and outside of the scope of the president's duties. And when a president is undertaking discretionary actions that are covered by Article II, which vests certain powers and duties in him, it is a very dangerous inquiry to go and look at and say, well, did he appoint this person because he's a crony? Did he appoint this person because he's going to do his bidding? Or did he appoint him on the merits? When he dismisses somebody, did he dismiss somebody because they were going to find some shenanigans that he was engaged in? Or did he dismiss him because he was incompetent? Or did he dismiss him for all sorts of other reasons? Anytime a president will be chilled at the thought that when he engages in these actions, a prosecutor, again, perhaps a politically motivated one, is going to be plumbing his mind to try to figure that stuff out. And, you know, it treads on separation of powers concerns that are quite real. When he's bribing somebody or illegally wiretapping somebody or threatening witnesses or suborning perjury, facially illegal acts, there is never a proper motive to do any of these things. But with respect to all of the things that I just talked about, and which are many of the things that Special Counsel Mueller looked at, they can be done for all kinds of motives, both proper and improper.
Very good. One more question. If this committee were to go to court to enforce the subpoena for the full unredacted Mueller report, at this point in the process, how do you think you would assess the merits of that lawsuit?
Well, at the moment, I believe that this committee would lose for the very simple reason that you are in the District of Columbia. The D.C. Circuit, in a case a couple of months ago, McKeever versus Barr, determined that there are no exceptions to 6E. Rule 6E, Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6E governs the exceptions in favor of disclosing grand jury material, and disclosures to Congress are not covered by that. This committee, and Congress can, of course, amend the law if it wants to, but at the moment, the governing law in this circuit, unless and until it is overturned, is that 6E material is governed by the exclusions there and nothing else.
Thank you very much. In spite of all that's been said here today and the countless interviews and the op-eds of our colleagues and all that, here's the one key fact we want everybody to remember. The White House and the Trump campaign provided unprecedented levels of cooperation with the special counsel's investigation. They produced over 1.4 million pages of documents to the special counsel. They allowed 20 White House officials to testify, including 8 people from the White House counsel's office. And in spite of all that, the Attorney General and former Deputy AG Rosenstein found the evidence developed by the special counsel was, quote, not sufficient to establish that the president committed an obstruction of justice offense, unquote. That should have ended the inquiry. But it hasn't. It hasn't. We're doing these political hearings. We're wasting the American people's time. And this committee has one of the broadest and most important jurisdictions of any committee in Congress. There is critical work we need to be doing, and we're not because we're mired in this. I'm out of time, and I yield back.
That exchange was devastating for the Democrats because it put their entire narrative under a microscope and it collapsed instantly. One of their own so-called experts went on national television claiming sealed indictments were waiting for Trump's kids and top White House officials, talking like the president was one knock away from a perp walk. Then, when confronted with reality, suddenly it was, well, maybe I meant potential. That's not analysis, that's cable news fan fiction. And then the Republican senator did what Democrats hate most. He brought in facts and the law. Malcolm laid it out clean. When a president uses his Article 2 powers, you don't get to criminalize it just because you don't like him. Firing people, hiring people, directing investigations, those are constitutional duties. If prosecutors can crawl inside a president's mind every time he makes a decision and try to guess his motive, then no president is safe. That's how you turn the executive branch into a hostage of political prosecutors. The Democrats want to pretend this was all some kind of shadowy conspiracy, but they keep ignoring the biggest inconvenient truth of all. Trump and the White House cooperated more than almost any administration in history. Over 1 million documents, dozens of witnesses, full access. And after all of that, both the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General said there was not enough evidence to charge obstruction. Game over. Case closed. But Democrats can't let it go because this was never about justice. It was about dragging Trump through endless investigations until something, anything, stuck. They're burning taxpayer dollars, clogging up Congress, and ignoring real issues just to keep this political vendetta alive. The Republican senator didn't rant. He didn't grandstand. He just laid out the law, the facts, and the reality, and it completely gutted the Democrats' narrative. That's what winning looks like. Quietly, confidently, and with the Constitution on your side.